Over the past few months, I have been thinking about trading in my 2016 Dodge Challenger ScatPack shaker for something new. My options are either a Camaro ZL1 1LE or a Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 392. So a few months ago, I put up a poll on my YouTube community page asking you guys which car you would rather see, the Camaro ZL1 1LE, the Wrangler 392, or if you guys would just rather have me keep the Challenger and not get anything new. Now, the Challenger got 30% votes, the Camaro got 30% votes, and the Wrangler got 40% of the votes. So it seems like most of my YouTube viewers do want to see a Wrangler 392, and that's kind of the way that I've been leaning as well. Now, with that being said, I have been going back and forth between the ZL1 or the Wrangler. Now, it seems like one week I'll be totally set on getting the Camaro, then the next week I'll think about it even more and be more set on getting the Wrangler. So it's been a roller coaster for making my actual decision on what I want to do. But as for this week, I am pretty set on the Wrangler 392. So basically my main trigger for me wanting to actually do all this and get rid of the Challenger is that this thing actually got stolen. And if you haven't seen videos on that, make sure to go check those out. They are on my channel a few weeks ago. Definitely a pretty interesting story on what actually happened, but obviously we did recover the car. Now, I feel like if you guys are also car guys, you kind of understand that once a car gets stolen, it's not really the same kind of car as it used to be before it got stolen. So in my eyes, this car kind of lost a lot of sentimental value, and I've had the car for the past 6 years, so it definitely did have a lot of value to me. Now, of course, it obviously still is the same exact car, but I have no clue what could have been done to the car while it was stolen. Now, I'm sure, like I said, most of you guys, if you're car guys, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. A lot of non-car people don't really understand that, and they kind of question, why do you want to sell your car right after it got recovered from being stolen? No, that's exactly why. So to some people, it definitely doesn't make a difference in terms of the value, but to me as a car guy, I do think that it did lose a good bit of sentimental value. I do want to talk about a few more things before we actually get to the pros and cons of both vehicles. The first one being a new law that just went into effect in this state. Now, that law gives police officers the authority to pull people over and give them tickets if they only think that the exhaust is too loud. So I could be driving down the street, normally driving, not breaking any kind of laws, and if a police officer only thinks that my exhaust is too loud, he can pull me over and give me a ticket for it. So obviously, you guys know I have a very loud exhaust, long tube headers, callus mid pipes, mid muffler delete. Super loud. I love how it sounds. But unfortunately, in this state, if a police officer doesn't like that, he can just pull me over and write me a ticket for that. Now, the exact law is that the car has to be measured from, I believe, 50 feet, and if it's over 85 decibels, that's the actual legal limit for how loud the exhaust can be. Now, I don't know if police officers are just gonna carry around decibel readers or just go off of their opinions if they don't like the car, if they think it's too loud, pull them over and give them a ticket, because with this car, I can definitely see that happening. So, that's definitely not a huge reason for me wanting to trade this car in, but every time I drive this car, I'm always paranoid that I'm going to be pulled over for something silly like that. And I do completely understand that kind of law if it's in a residential neighborhood in the middle of the night, because I definitely wouldn't want somebody, flying past me if I'm trying to sleep in the middle of the night. I understand it then, but if it's just regularly driving, I'm not breaking any kind of laws, not racing anybody, not speeding, anything like that, then I don't want to be pulled over just for driving normally if my exhaust is loud. It's not like this car is falling apart or anything. If you have a hole in your exhaust, then yeah, maybe that should be fixed up. But, just an actual exhaust system that's loud, I don't think that should be a law to have police officers be able to pull you over and give you a ticket for just them thinking that it's too loud. So rant over about that. Now let's get into the next topic. So if you guys haven't been paying attention to literally anything that's been going on in this world, you'll know that prices for used cars, along with prices for pretty much everything, have skyrocketed. So right now is definitely the best time to sell a car. So I've been thinking, I can definitely get the best value for this car right now in this kind of time period. So, if I want to do something, I should probably do it pretty soon, because, if interest rates keep going up, then the prices are going to go down. That's just, how it works. And, interest rates have already gone up a good bit, and they're continuing to plan to raise them even more. So I feel like if I want to trade this car in or sell it, I definitely need to do so pretty quickly. The next reason that I've been thinking about selling this car or trading it in is just the fact that I haven't really been enjoying it as much as I think that I should. So what I mean by that is that, I live kind of, in the city where there's constantly traffic. So I can't really enjoy driving this car unless I drive like 2 hours away to the nearest like actual fun driving road, like public road. Or if I want to go to a track, I have to drive like 3.5 hours and pay $300 per track day. That all really adds up, and I just feel like if I can't really enjoy this car and drive it like it's meant to be driven, then I can't really like enjoy it how I would like to enjoy it. Now, of course, if I lived closer to a track, then I definitely would be able to enjoy it a lot more. Or if I lived closer to roads that are fun to drive on, like the, Tail of the Dragon, or literally any other road that isn't like in the city and full of traffic, then I do think I would definitely be enjoying this car a whole lot more. Now, don't get me wrong, this car is still a whole bunch of fun, but if all I'm doing is sitting in traffic, then that's not really too much fun for a car that can't really unleash its full potential, basically anywhere unless I'm on a track and I have to drive 3.5 hours to do that and pay $300 a day to do that as well. Now, of course, the couple times that I did take this car to an actual track, I had a whole bunch of fun. One of my most favorite videos that I filmed with this car was taking it to the Pocono Raceway and roll racing with this car. Now, with that being said, I will admit I was, basically the slowest car there, but still, it was a whole bunch of fun to be able to unleash the full potential of this car and actually have fun with this car in a way that it's meant to be driven. So, not saying the car is just not fun in general, it's just that I feel like I personally cannot have fun like I want to because of my current circumstances and scenarios. Also, with that being said, those reasons also all apply to the Camaro ZL1 1LE, and especially the 1LE, because if you guys aren't familiar with that, then it is basically the extreme track package. So basically the Camaro ZL1 1LE is meant to be a strict track car. I've even heard people say that the ZL1 is an amazing street car, but the ZL1 1LE is not a very good street car just because of how it's made to be only used as a strict track car. To be honest, if I daily drove a ZL1 1LE, yeah, it would be a whole bunch of fun and I'd love it. It would be a fun car to have, but once again, I wouldn't be able to fully enjoy it and fully unleash the full potential of the ZL1 1LE unless I drove it 3.5 hours to a track and paid $300 per track day. So that's kind of my whole reason for, kind of siding with the Jeep at this moment, because with the Jeep, I definitely do feel like I would be able to enjoy it a lot more. I could take it on some more trips and not have to pay $300 per day of me actually enjoying it like how it's meant to be enjoyed. Now, obviously there's pros and cons to both the Camaro and the Jeep Wrangler 392. With the Camaro, of course, the cons, I already mentioned those. With the pros, of course, it is, it has the LT4, 6.2 liter supercharged V8, 650 horsepower and pound-feet of torque. So obviously, I do think it would be a whole lot more fun than the Challenger ScatPack that I have right now. But also at the same time, I feel like I would be more like stressed out driving it and more paranoid driving it like in the city and in traffic, because the Camaro ZL1 1LE does have much higher value than a Challenger ScatPack. So I just feel like I would have to be a lot more careful. I feel like I would enjoy it even less than the Challenger right now. Now, when it comes to the pros and cons of the Jeep, a Jeep is meant to be able to go anywhere. And especially with the 392, I still would have the same 392 6.4 liter V8 that I have in the Challenger right now. So I for sure would not be getting rid of that because I love how this car sounds. And of course, with the same engine in the Jeep, it would sound amazing as well. And the 392 Wrangler also does have the active exhaust valves. So if I'm driving like, next to a cop, for example, I can close the valves and wouldn't have to worry about being, too loud or anything like that. Another pro is that I would be able to enjoy it a whole lot more, I feel like. And, before I get into that, I will say you guys probably are wondering why I would get a Jeep Wrangler 392 if I already have one Jeep. Now, if you guys aren't familiar, I have a Jeep Cherokee XJ. It's a 2001. That Jeep is basically meant as a restoration and preservation project. So I won't be taking that Jeep on any kind of like, serious off-roading trips or anything like that. It's basically a pavement princess for the most part. I am, still restoring it and preserving it. I do take it on some mild off-roading like drives and stuff like that, but nothing compared to what I would do with the Jeep Wrangler 392. So that's my reasoning for going with a second Jeep, which is of course the 392 Wrangler. Now, like I said, I do feel like I would be able to enjoy the Wrangler 392 a whole lot more than any kind of sports car, you know, just like the Challenger ScatPack or the ZL1 1LE. And the reason for that is because with the Wrangler, you can drive it anywhere. You don't have to be worried about, you know, speed bumps. And of course, I mentioned the active exhaust, so I don't have to be worried about being pulled over for my exhaust being too loud or anything like that either. And it's also a lot cheaper to enjoy a Jeep as well, because if I drive, you know, an hour, I can get to an off-roading trail that costs $30 for an annual pass. Now, if you compare that to enjoying a Challenger or a Camaro, taking it to the track, I would have to drive 3.5 hours and pay $300 per day, per each track day. Now, $300 per day versus $30 per year, I think that's a very big difference, and also the length of time it would take me to get to those areas. 1 hour for the off-road trail or 3.5 hours to the track. I think that's also a very big difference. Now, with the Jeep Wrangler 392, I can also explore a lot more different, you know, back roads, dirt roads, gravel roads, and just do, you know, fun exploration videos like that, which I definitely enjoy doing, and I have done a few of those with my XJ so far. But I could do a lot more with the Jeep Wrangler 392 because I wouldn't constantly have to be worried about it, you know, overheating or it breaking down somewhere when I'm, you know, far away from home. So I do think that I would for sure be able to enjoy the Wrangler 392 a lot more than the Challenger or the Camaro for those reasons. Also with the Wrangler, I also feel like it attracts a lot less attention than a sports car like a Challenger or a Camaro. So I also feel like mentally, I would be a lot less paranoid having a Wrangler 392 because I wouldn't have to constantly be worried about somebody stealing it like I am now with this car. But still, it is a very expensive Jeep. I think those started around like $75,000 MSRP for literally the base model. So those are very expensive vehicles. But still, I do feel like a Wrangler 392 is less likely to get stolen than a Challenger ScatPack that's like half the value of a Jeep Wrangler 392. So I definitely do think that it would cause me to be less paranoid about driving a 392 Wrangler than a Camaro or a Challenger as well. If you guys couldn't tell, I definitely am leaning towards the Wrangler 392, and I definitely do want to get your thoughts down below in the comments, so definitely let me know what you guys would like to see. Of course, the poll did reveal that you guys would rather see the Wrangler 392 on the channel, so I definitely am leaning towards that. But the next topic that I want to talk about might offend a few people, so please don't get offended by this. But another reason why I am leaning more towards the Jeep Wrangler 392 is because of the community of Jeep owners. Now, the types of people who own Jeeps versus the type of people who own Camaros and Challengers, in my opinion, the Jeep community is a lot more friendly. Now, I can prove that just by showing you the comments on my YouTube videos that are, you know, on my Jeep Cherokee XJ versus comments on my videos that are about the Challenger. Now, of course, I'm not saying that everybody who likes Challengers or owns a Challenger is bad. There's just certain people in the Challenger community who, you know, I don't really want to associate myself with. And those types of people are the people who go to like those, what are they called, like the takeover meets where they like do burnouts and donuts in the middle of a busy intersection and like shut down the whole street to do that. I really don't want to be associated with those types of people. Now, obviously there are nice people in both groups, there's bad people in both groups, but overall, I feel like in my personal experience, the Jeep community has been a lot nicer and a lot more friendly, a lot more, you know, easygoing than the Challenger community, in my opinion. You know, it's always the Challengers and Charger ScatPacks who always do, you know, drifts and donuts, leaving the meet. It's also, of course, Mustangs. And, you know, I have to keep saying, please don't get too offended by this, because I know there are a lot of great people in those communities, and I definitely know a whole lot of great people who own Challengers and Mustangs, but there are always going to be negative people in every community, and I just feel like the Challenger community does have more negative people than the Jeep community. The last topic that I wanted to cover in this video is the fact that all these cars that I've been talking about are a dying breed. Now, what I mean by that is that you guys all know it's pretty obvious that the government is trying to completely get rid of V8s, not only V8s, but also all gas-powered cars. You see how much of a push they're giving us to get electric vehicles, how much they're, you know, price gouging the prices of gas and all that stuff to make us not want gas-powered vehicles and convert over to electric vehicles and all that. You guys are all seeing what's going on. So V8s are, you know, I hate to say, but they are on their way out. So any kind of car with a V8, I feel like is going to be very desirable, especially if it's the top trim level of that car. So like, for example, the Camaro ZL1 1LE, that's for sure going to be a collector's car, you know, just like all the old classics are right now. You know, any kind of old V8 sports car, performance car is definitely going to be a collector's item once they all get rid of them. So even the Challenger ScatPack, of course, obviously it's a V8, but it's not really the top trim level of the Challenger. Now cars like the D-Man and the Red Eye, I think those are definitely going to be more of a collector's item than the ScatPack, I believe. So that's kind of why I'm leaning towards getting something that is the top trim level of its car. Of course, the Camaro ZL1 1LE, top trim level of the Camaro. Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 392, top trim level of the Wrangler. So I think both of those vehicles are going to be highly desirable. You know, obviously they are already very desirable, but once they completely get rid of those cars, then they're going to be even more desirable and they're going to go up even more in value, even though they're going to be super hard to maintain, super expensive to fill up with gas. And something else with the Jeep is that I do have several different very good local Jeep shops to me. So if I ever want to do something serious like lift it, I can just, you know, I have a local Jeep shop, so that wouldn't be too big of an issue. And then when it comes to the Camaro, I would have to probably travel several hours to get to the nearest like credible Camaro shop. So that's also something else that I wanted to keep in mind when picking between the two, is that if I want to modify them, I could probably modify a Wrangler a lot easier, you know, myself than I could a Camaro. Just because Jeep Wranglers are, I feel like they're a lot easier to work on than a Camaro that has an LT4 and requires, you know, professional technicians to actually work on it and not just some random person like me. I do feel like the Wrangler 392 is made to be a lot more modifiable by, you know, just an everyday person who has tools. So, you know, I think I would have more fun modifying the Jeep as well. And, you know, it's also obviously still a V8, so I could have fun with it on the street if I want to, you know, even if I want to race people with it, I could still have fun doing that. It does have 470 horsepower, which is, you know, 15 less than this car was stock. So, you know, obviously it's going to be a lot heavier than something like this, a lot less aerodynamic, but I think it would still be pretty fun to drive on the street just because of that V8 sound that it has and the V8 power. And, you know, everything about the V8 is just something that I love. Now, I also wanted to mention that my most favorite video that I've ever filmed and released for you guys is the Jeep Cherokee XJ snowstorm driving video. I filmed that video, I believe, 2 years ago in the winter, either 1 or 2 years ago, after I got my Jeep Cherokee XJ lifted. It was a whole bunch of fun to, you know, drive it, see how capable the Jeep actually is. And of course, watching back on the video, it's a, you know, very interesting video to watch in my opinion. Of course, with the Wrangler 392, I would be able to do that and even more, because I would assume that a Wrangler 392 Rubicon would be more capable than my 20-year-old XJ in my opinion. So I just feel like, you know, in addition to having an off-road trail closer to me and cheaper than, you know, driving to a track, for example, like I mentioned, I also do think like I would be able to do more exploration videos with the Jeep and take it on more trips, drive through a bunch more snowstorms as well, and give you guys that kind of content. And of course, on the other hand, with the Camaro, it literally just be sitting basically all winter because, you know, tracks basically close down during the winter. Wouldn't be able to, you know, have too much fun with the Camaro during the winter. It's basically just like a, you know, a summer track car. So, you know, for all those reasons, I do think that I would enjoy the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 392 more than the Camaro and the Challenger. Obviously, you know, it's gonna kind of suck not having a performance car like the Challenger or a Camaro, but I really do think that I will be able to have more fun with the Jeep, even though I already have one Jeep. You know, a second Jeep with a V8 wouldn't hurt, I don't think. So definitely do think that I could also give you guys some more content with the Jeep as well, because I would, you know, like I keep saying, I'll just be able to drive it a lot more. So for those reasons, I definitely do think that right now, at least, I'm definitely leaning towards the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 392. And like I said, I definitely do want to hear your opinions in the comment section below. So definitely drop those down in the comment section below. And if you guys have any questions or comments, drop those down in the comment section below. If you guys have any video suggestions for videos you would like to see in the future, make sure to also drop those down in the comment section below. And if you guys like this video or found it entertaining, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching. Now, before we go, I wanted to give you guys this quick exhaust clip because I will definitely miss this. But if we do get the Wrangler 392, the sound will not be going away. Now, of course, I will miss having long tube headers and catless mid pipes, but if you can get this kind of sound with a Jeep Wrangler, as well as that off-road capability, as well as the kind of power that I have in this car, you know, it was just the best of both worlds in my opinion. But unfortunately, now I can get a ticket for this kind of exhaust sound, which is very unfortunate, but I guess that's the world that we live in today because of all the electric vehicles that are being pushed on us. But of course, I will always love V8s, which is why I want to get a Wrangler 392. Now, as I'm driving along here, I also wanted to point out that with a Jeep Wrangler Rubicon, I literally would not have to worry about speed bumps just like this. Alright, they didn't scrape on this one, luckily. But I pretty much always scrape on speed bumps, no matter how big or small they are. So obviously with the Jeep Wrangler, I wouldn't have to worry about anything like that. I could literally drive over a boulder and not scrape. Which is what I love about the Jeep, is that, you know, I don't always have to be stressed out about, you know, hitting a curb, driving over speed bumps, driving through potholes or anything like that. You know, ripping off the splitter, you know, just simple things like that that I wouldn't have to worry about with the Jeep. So of course we got a nice speed bump coming up here again. See if we scraped. Nice, didn't scrape on that one either. Alright, so that wasn't too bad. And like the main reason that I scrape with this car right now is because of course it does have long tube headers, so they stick down farther than the actual stock headers. So you just have to be a little bit more careful than stock. This one isn't too bad. Won't scrape on this one. But yeah, just wanted to give you guys this little extra clip here at the end, and just so you guys can hear what this thing sounds like, because if we're being pulled over for this kind of exhaust sound, then, you know, the whole like car community is basically just going to be gotten rid of. Or probably not, but that's what they're trying to do, unfortunately. Now, I also know a lot of cops are car guys, so kind of feel like they might be helping us out a little bit by not actually enforcing these silly laws, but we'll see. They have to do their jobs, so we'll see what happens.